You wake up and the alarm sounds, and for a moment you feel the same old pull to stay under the covers. You know there are goals you've put off, and a voice inside that says, "Today could be different." This hour matters more than you think, because how you start sets what you do next. This audiobook will give direct, clear steps to stop wasting time and build a life you control. You will hear practical ways to make mornings, useful ways to remove the common excuses that steal hours, and methods to turn small actions into steady results. The advice is concrete and immediate, so you can begin applying it right after you listen. Expect honest talk about what holds people back and simple step-by-step methods to change it. You will learn how to set up a morning that creates movement, how to handle fear by acting, and how to keep going when energy is low. You will get real tools for planning, protecting your focus, and measuring progress so every day moves you forward. Imagine feeling calm when you wake up, noticing the light, the first sip of water, and the steady rhythm of a plan you trust. Imagine the relief of closing your day, knowing you used your time well. That change starts with small, consistent choices and straightforward systems. Stay with this audio and you will get exact routines, short rules to follow, and small daily experiments that build real habits. Toward the end, there is a simple challenge you can use to lock these lessons into your life. If you are done making excuses and ready to act, this will show you how to begin now and keep going. Chapter 1. Wake up with drive and turn every morning into momentum. Every great change begins in the morning. The first hour after you wake up determines the rhythm of your entire day. The energy, focus, and mindset you start with often decide how productive, peaceful, or chaotic your day will be. People who wake up with purpose seem to move differently through the world. They don't rush aimlessly or drag themselves through routines. They start strong, and that strength compounds into everything they do. When you wake up with drive, you don't wait for life to give you a reason to act, you create one yourself. Most people wake up on autopilot. The alarm rings, they hit snooze, roll over, and lose the first fight of the day. Before they've even stepped out of bed, they've taught their mind that comfort is more important than commitment. What they don't realize is that the way you start your day is a mirror of how you live your life. If you avoid discomfort first thing in the morning, you'll avoid it in bigger things too: conversations, challenges, opportunities. Discipline doesn't begin with giant acts of willpower. It begins with small acts of control. The moment you wake up and refuse to negotiate with laziness, you train yourself to win the small battles that shape everything else. Waking up with drive is not about forcing energy, it's about reconnecting with purpose. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows meaning. If your mornings feel empty, it's often because you haven't reminded yourself why you're waking up in the first place. You need something that pulls you forward, a goal, a mission, or even a small reason that gives direction to your day. It doesn't have to be grand. It could be to become a better version of yourself than yesterday, to make progress on something you care about, or to simply live with more presence and gratitude. The drive you seek isn't found in caffeine or motivation, it's found in clarity. When you know why you're waking up, you stop dragging yourself through the morning and start leading yourself through it. The simplest way to build drive is to start your morning before the world starts demanding from you. Those quiet, early hours are sacred. They belong to you. When you wake up early, you're not competing with anyone. There are no calls, no messages, no noise. It's just you and your potential. That time, it is powerful because it's unclaimed. It's where your discipline grows strongest. Start by waking up 30 minutes earlier than usual and use that time to center yourself before the day begins. Don't rush to check your phone or dive into work. Move with intention. Breathe, stretch, drink water, prepare your mind and body. The goal isn't to do more, it's to set the right tone. The first moments of your morning should remind you of who you are and what you're working toward. Write down your goals, even briefly. Review what matters most to you. Say out loud something you're committed to improving. These actions may seem small, but they create direction. Your mind needs reminders, not motivation. Motivation fades quickly because it depends on emotion. Purpose endures because it's built on choice. When you start your morning by choosing discipline, your mind learns that your life is shaped by intention, not mood. If you want momentum, start moving the moment you wake up. Don't wait until you feel ready. The body in motion creates energy, and energy fuels action. Do something physical as soon as you rise. It doesn't have to be intense: a short walk, light exercise, or even standing tall and taking deep breaths. Movement activates your system and signals your brain that it's time to engage. Many people underestimate how much physical energy affects mental drive. When your body feels sluggish, your thoughts slow down. When your body feels alive, your mind sharpens. You can't think your way into drive, you have to act your way into it. One of the most powerful habits you can create is a morning routine that centers your focus. A structured start removes decision fatigue. You don't waste time wondering what to do. You follow a system that guides you into productivity. Your morning routine doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to be consistent. For example, you could wake up, drink water, make your bed, stretch, review your goals, and start your first task. The key is to move from one activity to the next without pausing for hesitation. Every time you hesitate, you invite laziness to argue with you. The less space you give it, the weaker it becomes. The discipline to wake up and start strong is built the night before. A powerful morning begins with preparation. Set out your clothes, organize your workspace, and decide what your first task will be. This removes friction and excuses. The brain prefers the easiest path, so make the disciplined path the easiest one. When you know exactly what you're waking up to do, you remove confusion and delay. Success rarely comes from talent. It comes from creating conditions that make good choices automatic. Waking up with drive also means protecting your energy from distractions that kill focus. The first hour of your day should be free from digital noise. Avoid opening social media, news, or messages as soon as you wake. Your mind is most impressionable in the morning. It absorbs the first thing you feed it. If you start with chaos, anxiety, or comparison, you'll carry that energy through the day. Replace those inputs with something that builds you. Read a page of a meaningful book, journal your thoughts, or simply sit in silence for a few minutes. Stillness is not laziness, it's strength. It's where clarity grows. Momentum is created by consistency, not bursts of effort. When you start your day right for several days in a row, your body and mind begin to expect success. You no longer need to push yourself into action, it becomes natural. That's the power of rhythm. Once you build it, it carries you forward. Even on days when you don't feel motivated, your routine takes over. That's what separates those who succeed consistently from those who succeed occasionally. The first group has structure, the second relies on mood. There's another truth that's often ignored. Not every morning will feel good. Some days you'll wake up tired, unmotivated, or discouraged. Those days are your real test. Anyone can act when it's easy. The true measure of drive is doing what you said you'd do when you don't want to. That's how discipline hardens. You may not always control how you feel, but you can always control what you do. When you get up, even on the hard days, you teach your mind that feelings don't dictate your behavior. Principles do. To build unstoppable momentum, link your mornings to progress. Start each day with one meaningful task that moves you closer to your goals. Don't start with what's urgent, start with what's important. It could be writing, planning, training, studying, or creating. The point is to build a pattern of progress. When you start your day accomplishing something valuable, you carry that energy into every other task. Success builds on success. Each completed action gives your brain a small reward, reinforcing the belief that you're capable and focused. Waking up with drive also requires honesty. Ask yourself, how have I been spending my mornings? If your first hour is filled with distraction, you're wasting the most powerful time of your day. Be willing to admit what's holding you back. Maybe it's sleep habits, maybe it's comfort, maybe it's avoidance. Change begins with truth. You can't improve what you're not willing to confront. Once you face it, take small steps to fix it. Go to bed earlier. Put your phone in another room. Create a bedtime ritual that signals to your brain that rest is coming. When your sleep improves, your mornings transform. Every morning is a new beginning. It's an opportunity to rewrite your story. You're not defined by yesterday's laziness or missed chances. The past doesn't have to repeat unless you allow it. The act of waking up early and acting with purpose is a declaration that you refuse to live passively. You're taking ownership of your life, one morning at a time. That decision might seem small, but it changes everything. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If you start your day with clarity and power, that energy flows into your work, relationships, and mindset. The most disciplined people in the world aren't born that way, they train for it. They understand that success isn't a single event. It's the accumulation of choices. Waking up early, showing up, and doing the work even when you don't want to, creates a kind of strength that can't be taken away. Over time, your mornings become your greatest weapon. You begin each day ahead, not behind. You no longer chase time, you command it. To wake up with drive is to respect the gift of a new day. It's to understand that time is not infinite, and wasting it is the same as wasting potential. The quiet hours before the world awakens are sacred. They belong to those who choose to use them. When you wake up and act with intention, you stop being a spectator of your own life. You become the one who creates direction, who decides how the day will unfold. There's deep peace in living this way, knowing that before the world demanded anything from you, you already honored your goals and your growth. That's the kind of satisfaction no shortcut can give. It builds confidence that doesn't rely on praise or results. It comes from self-respect. Each morning you follow through, you strengthen the belief that you can trust yourself. That trust is what makes success sustainable. The path to unstoppable success begins before sunrise. It starts when you choose discipline over delay, purpose over distraction, progress over comfort. Every morning is a chance to reset your standards, to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than your excuses. The momentum you build today will carry into tomorrow. It doesn't require perfection, only consistency. Even one strong morning can shift the direction of your entire week. So wake up early, move with purpose, protect your focus, feed your mind something meaningful, take action before the day overwhelms you. Do this not because someone told you to, but because your life deserves your full effort. Each morning is a blank page, and you are the author. Write something worth living. When you wake up with drive and turn every morning into momentum, you stop waiting for success, you start becoming it. Chapter 2. Build habits that make success automatic and effort feel easy. Most people want to change their lives, but very few actually build the habits that make change automatic. They wait for motivation to strike, for inspiration to appear, or for life to somehow line up perfectly before taking action. But the truth is, real success begins when your habits start working for you instead of against you. You don't rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the level of your habits. If your daily actions are weak, your results will be weak. If your habits are strong, your success becomes inevitable. The goal isn't to work harder forever. It's to make progress feel natural and automatic, like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes. Building habits that make success automatic starts with awareness. Take a close look at how you spend your day. From the moment you wake up, what do you do first? Do you reach for your phone, scroll, and let the world's noise flood your mind before your day even begins? Or do you take a moment to breathe, plan, and set intention? The first action of your day sets the tone for the hours that follow. When you begin your morning with purpose, even something as small as making your bed or journaling a single goal can shift your energy from lazy to focused. Habits don't form from intensity, they form from consistency. Many people think they need massive effort to start a new habit. They push hard for a few days, then burn out. But the mind adapts slowly. True change comes from small, repeated actions done every single day, even when you don't feel like it. The goal is to make your brain associate success with something simple, familiar, and repeatable. If you want to exercise daily, start with just 5 minutes. If you want to read, commit to 1 page. The small step isn't the goal, it's the trigger that tells your mind, this is who I am now. The secret to lasting habits is identity. You can force yourself to act differently for a while, but until your actions align with who you believe you are, the change won't stick. Stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, and start saying, I am a disciplined person. The language you use trains your brain to accept a new identity. When you identify as someone who values health, you naturally make healthier choices. When you see yourself as someone who works hard, you act accordingly. Every small action reinforces or weakens that identity, so choose carefully what you repeat each day. Your environment is the invisible hand that's shaping your habits. You might think willpower is what matters most, but even the strongest willpower fades when the environment is full of temptation. If your workspace is cluttered, your focus will scatter. If your kitchen is full of junk food, your diet will suffer. If your phone is filled with distractions, your time will disappear. The smart move isn't to fight temptation, it's to design your environment so good habits are easier to do and bad habits are harder. Keep healthy food within reach. Place your workout clothes where you can see them. Turn off notifications. Make success the path of least resistance. Every habit is a loop made of 3 parts: the cue, the routine, and the reward. The cue is what triggers the behavior, the routine is the action itself, and the reward is what your brain gets afterward. If you want to change a habit, you don't have to start from scratch. Just adjust one part of that loop. For example, if you tend to waste time on your phone whenever you feel bored, change the routine. Keep the cue, boredom, but replace the routine, scrolling, with a better one, like stretching or reading. Reward yourself afterward, even if it's just a mental note saying, "Good job." Over time, your brain will start craving the new behavior instead of the old one. One powerful way to make habits stick is to connect them to something you already do daily. This is called habit stacking. For example, after I brush my teeth, I'll drink a glass of water. Or, after I make coffee, I'll write down 3 goals. Your brain loves patterns. It finds comfort in routines that follow a rhythm. When you tie new actions to old ones, you remove friction and make the new behavior easier to remember. This is how small habits grow into systems that quietly shape your life. Progress doesn't come from doing everything at once. It comes from building momentum through one habit at a time. If you try to change your entire life overnight, you'll fail. If you focus on mastering one small habit each month, you'll transform your life in a year. The compound effect of consistent action is powerful. One better habit can influence every part of your life. When you start sleeping better, your focus improves. When you eat better, your energy rises. When you start your day early, your productivity multiplies. Each good habit creates space for another, and soon your entire lifestyle changes naturally. Accountability strengthens habits. When you know someone is watching, you show up differently. It could be a friend, a mentor, or even a personal tracker. Tell someone your goal, share your progress, or write down your daily streak. You'll start to take your commitment seriously because you've made it public. Accountability turns promises into discipline. But remember, the real accountability is to yourself, to the person you said you wanted to become. Reward yourself for consistency, not perfection. Too many people quit because they miss one day or slip once. But progress is never a straight line. Missing once doesn't destroy a habit, quitting does. Focus on building a long streak of effort, not flawless performance. Celebrate every small win. Acknowledge the days you didn't want to act but still did. Every single repetition builds the foundation of who you are becoming. Habits also require patience. Nothing meaningful grows overnight. Think of habits as planting seeds. You don't see results right away, but something is happening beneath the surface. Most people quit before their habits have a chance to bloom. The first weeks might feel slow and unproductive, but if you stay consistent, the results compound. One day, you'll look back and realize you've built a system that runs almost on autopilot, a system that keeps you improving even when you're tired, unmotivated, or distracted. There's also a trap in chasing too many habits at once. Discipline is not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters most and doing it well. Choose 2 or 3 habits that align with your biggest goals. If you want better health, focus on sleep, movement, and nutrition. If you want better productivity, focus on planning, deep work, and rest. Simplify. The fewer habits you try to master, the more powerful they become. When you create habits that support success, effort starts to feel easier. You no longer have to force yourself into action. You're guided by systems that carry you forward. You wake up knowing what to do, and your energy goes into doing, not deciding. This is the real secret of unstoppable people. They don't wake up every morning trying to find motivation. They've built habits that make success automatic. Their actions are aligned with their goals, and their environment supports their progress. If you want your life to change, stop chasing motivation and start building systems. Set clear habits that move you closer to your goals every day. Make them so small they're impossible to skip. Protect them with consistency until they become part of who you are. Every choice, every routine, every repetition counts. Your future self is being shaped by what you do right now. The question is, are your habits leading you closer to your best life or keeping you stuck where you are? You have the power to decide. Build habits that make your success effortless. Create a structure that supports your growth. Let your daily actions be a reflection of the person you truly want to become. Do it not just once or twice, but until it becomes natural. Because when your habits are strong, success isn't something you chase, it's something you live. Chapter 3. Cut out every excuse and take full control of your time. Excuses are the invisible chains that keep people stuck where they are. They sound harmless at first, reasonable even. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I'll start when I feel ready. These statements disguise themselves as truth, but in reality, they're lies we tell ourselves to avoid responsibility. The truth is, everyone has the same 24 hours. Some use those hours to build, improve, and grow, while others waste them defending their inaction. Success doesn't belong to the smartest or luckiest person. It belongs to the one who decides to stop making excuses and take full ownership of their time. When you say you don't have time, what you really mean is that something else is more important to you right now. Time isn't missing, it's being spent. The question is where? Look at your day honestly. How much time is lost scrolling through social media, watching videos that add no value, or doing things out of habit rather than purpose? Most people underestimate how much of their life is eaten by small distractions. 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, it adds up to hours of wasted potential. Cutting out excuses starts with facing this reality. You can't change what you don't confront. Taking control of your time begins with awareness. You have to understand how your days are being used. For 1 week, track everything you do from morning to night. Don't judge yourself, just observe. Write down how long you spend working, resting, exercising, eating, and being distracted. This exercise will shock you because it exposes the truth that most of what keeps you busy isn't actually productive. Once you see where your time is going, you gain the power to take it back. Awareness is the first step to control. Excuses are often built on fear. Fear of failure, fear of discomfort, fear of judgment. The mind creates stories to protect you from temporary pain. It tells you that now isn't the right time, that you're not ready, that conditions aren't perfect. But those are traps. There will never be a perfect moment. Waiting for ideal conditions is just another form of procrastination. People who achieve great things aren't fearless, they just act despite fear. They stop asking what if and start saying why not. Once you act, fear loses power. The only way to master fear is through motion, not thought. One of the most damaging habits is justifying inaction. Every time you make an excuse, you train your brain to lower your standards. You tell yourself it's okay to settle for less, and that message seeps into everything you do. But when you hold yourself accountable, when you say, "I didn't do it because I chose not to," you reclaim control. You might not like the answer, but at least it's honest. Responsibility is power. When you stop blaming circumstances, you start realizing you can shape them. The reason many people stay stuck is because they believe they'll have more time later. But later is a myth. Time doesn't expand to fit your excuses. It keeps moving whether you use it or not. Every day you delay is a day you can never get back. Think about how many times you've said, "I'll start next week," only to find that week turn into months. If you keep waiting, you'll wake up one day realizing that your dreams expired while you were busy postponing them. The cost of excuses is always time, and time is the one thing you can't replace. The solution isn't to try to do more, it's to do what matters. Taking control of your time doesn't mean filling every minute with activity. It means cutting away what doesn't serve your goals. Learn to say no to things that drain you or distract you. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every task deserves your energy. When you learn to protect your focus, you protect your future. Every time you say no to something meaningless, you say yes to something important. A simple truth about time is that it will always be spent. It's your choice whether it's spent intentionally or carelessly. You must decide what deserves your hours before the world decides for you. Start by setting clear priorities each day. Choose 3 tasks that matter most and commit to completing them. When you wake up, focus on those first. If distractions try to pull you away, remind yourself that every time you give in, you are choosing temporary comfort over long-term success. Control begins with discipline, and discipline begins with choices. Excuses thrive in uncertainty. When you don't have a clear plan, it's easy to justify wasting time. Structure kills excuses. Plan your day the night before. List your goals, schedule your time blocks, and remove guesswork. When your day has direction, your mind doesn't have space for hesitation. You know exactly what needs to be done and when. It's not about becoming rigid, it's about creating clarity. When you control your schedule, you control your life. Many people think they're too busy, but the problem isn't the amount of time, it's how they manage it. Multitasking, constant interruptions, and lack of focus waste more time than people realize. You can work for 8 hours and accomplish less than someone who worked with focus for 3. Learn to work with intention. When you're doing something important, give it your full attention. Turn off notifications, close other tabs, and put your phone away. Every distraction resets your focus and steals minutes. If you can train yourself to stay present, you'll achieve in hours what others struggle to complete in days. The mind loves comfort, and excuses are comfort disguised as logic. You convince yourself that you're being reasonable by waiting, but deep down, you know it's avoidance. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Action creates clarity. When you move, you see what works and what doesn't. When you think too long, your mind builds barriers that don't exist. The only way to cut through excuses is to take immediate action, even if it's small. Once you begin, momentum builds. Movement silences doubt faster than thought ever can. Sometimes people use the excuse of perfection to avoid progress. They say they'll start when things are just right. They want the best plan, the perfect tools, the ideal timing. But perfection doesn't exist, and waiting for it only delays growth. The people who succeed are the ones who start messy and improve along the way. They understand that mistakes are not signs of weakness, they're signs of effort. Every small step forward, no matter how imperfect, beats standing still. Cutting out excuses also means taking ownership of your energy. You can't expect focus if your habits drain you. Sleep enough, eat well, and move your body. When you feel physically strong, mental clarity follows. Many people mistake exhaustion for laziness, but the truth is, a tired body leads to a tired mind. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's preparation. When your energy is stable, you can use time wisely instead of wasting it recovering from burnout. You'll find that when you stop making excuses, your confidence grows. Each time you follow through on a commitment, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. That self-trust is priceless. It builds momentum that keeps you moving even when you don't feel motivated. Excuses drain power. Action restores it. The more you take control of your time, the more control you gain over your life. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. There's no magic formula to success, only small, disciplined actions done repeatedly. If you can stop wasting time on justifications and focus on doing the work, your life will transform faster than you think. You don't need to change everything overnight. Start with one promise to yourself today, that you won't make an excuse for something within your control. Follow through once, then again tomorrow. Over time, this becomes your standard. People who master their time understand that every minute counts. They treat time like a limited resource, not an endless supply. When you see time as something sacred, you stop wasting it on things that don't move you forward. You start asking, does this add value to my life? Before you say yes. That single question can save you years of regret. The truth is simple, you are in charge of your time, and no one is coming to manage it for you. You can't control how fast the clock moves, but you can control how you move within it. Excuses are easy, but they build nothing. Action is hard, but it builds everything. If you start taking full responsibility for where your time goes, you'll discover how much potential you actually have. You'll stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. You'll stop being busy and start being effective. At the end of every day, time will ask you one question: did you use me well? The answer will shape your future. If you spend your days defending your excuses, nothing changes. If you spend them building your discipline, everything changes. The power to reshape your life isn't somewhere outside, it's in every minute you choose to own. Stop giving time away to things that don't deserve it. Cut the excuses, take control, and use every day to build the life you say you want. Chapter 4. Train your mind to act fast instead of overthinking everything. The mind is a powerful tool, but when left untrained, it can become your biggest obstacle. Overthinking is one of the most silent ways people sabotage their own progress. You spend hours replaying ideas, imagining worst-case scenarios, and doubting every move. You convince yourself that thinking more means preparing better, but in reality, it often means doing less. The longer you hesitate, the more your confidence fades. Action creates clarity, not endless analysis. When you train your mind to act fast, you stop letting fear and hesitation decide your direction. You learn to trust your instincts, make decisions, and adjust along the way. That is where growth begins. Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence or resources. They fail because they never start. They wait for certainty before moving forward, but certainty never comes. The truth is, the perfect moment doesn't exist. The world rewards those who move, not those who wait. Every idea has a short lifespan. If you don't act on it quickly, it fades, or someone else executes it. The difference between successful people and the rest isn't luck, it's speed of implementation. They don't sit around questioning if it will work. They take the first step and figure it out on the way. Overthinking is often disguised as responsibility. You tell yourself you're being careful, that you're weighing options, that you don't want to make a mistake. But deep down, it's fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of looking foolish. The mind creates delay to protect itself from discomfort. Yet every time you give in to hesitation, you reinforce that fear. You teach your brain that avoiding risk feels safe, even when that safety costs you progress. The only way to reverse this pattern is to build a new association, one where action equals safety and hesitation equals pain. The moment you act quickly and survive, your brain learns that taking action isn't dangerous. Do that enough times, and your default response to opportunity becomes movement, not overthinking. Action doesn't mean recklessness, it means learning to decide faster with the information you have. You don't need to know everything before taking the first step, you just need to know enough to begin. The rest unfolds through experience. Life rewards people who make quick, honest decisions and course correct as they go. Every choice gives you feedback. Every result teaches you something. The longer you wait to decide, the less control you have over outcomes. Hesitation doesn't protect you, it just delays your potential. You can start training your mind to act faster by practicing small decisions. Don't begin with life-changing choices, begin with everyday moments. When choosing what to eat, wear, or work on, give yourself a short time limit. Decide within seconds. This trains your brain to operate with confidence instead of fear. The goal isn't perfection, it's decisiveness. Once you make a choice, commit to it. If it turns out wrong, adjust and learn. Quick decision-making is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Overthinkers often seek the right way to do something before they begin, but there is no right way until you start. Every expert was once a beginner who figured things out by doing. The fastest learners in the world are the ones who experiment. They don't wait for instruction, they learn through motion. You can't think your way into mastery, you can only act your way into it. Every time you take action, you collect real experience. Every time you hesitate, you stay stuck in theory. Knowledge only turns into wisdom when it's tested through action. One of the most effective ways to reduce overthinking is to give your actions a deadline. Open-ended goals lead to endless hesitation. When you tell yourself, "I'll start when I feel ready," your mind hears permission to delay forever. But when you set a clear time limit like, "I'll start in 5 minutes," you force your brain to move. Use the 5-second rule. The moment you think of something important, count backward from 5 and do it before your mind talks you out of it. This simple method interrupts hesitation and builds momentum before fear can intervene. Overthinking often comes from trying to control outcomes. You want to guarantee success before taking a risk, but that's not how growth works. The truth is, you'll fail sometimes, you'll make mistakes, and that's part of learning. What matters is how quickly you recover. People who act fast don't dwell on setbacks, they analyze, adjust, and move forward. The faster you recover, the faster you grow. Failure isn't a stop sign, it's feedback. If you treat mistakes as lessons, your fear of them disappears, and your willingness to act increases. To act fast, you must simplify your thoughts. Overthinkers complicate everything because they focus on too many possibilities at once. When you're faced with a choice, ask yourself one simple question: what's the next right step? Not the perfect step, not the final step, the next one. Breaking decisions down into smaller actions removes the pressure of perfection. You don't need to solve your whole life today. You just need to move forward by one decision. Another reason people hesitate is because they value comfort over progress. The brain loves predictability. It feels safer staying in what it knows, even if it's unhappy there. But progress always lives outside comfort. When you start acting fast, it feels uncomfortable at first because your mind isn't used to it. That's a good sign. It means you're stretching your limits. With time, this discomfort becomes excitement. You start to crave action because you've learned that growth feels better than fear. If you want to stop overthinking, stop asking for constant reassurance. Many people waste time seeking approval from others before acting. They ask friends, co-workers, or family what they think, hoping someone will confirm their decision. But too many opinions create confusion. The more voices you allow into your decision, the louder the noise becomes. Confidence grows from self-trust, not from validation. You don't need permission to take action, you need belief. Every time you make a decision without over-explaining it, you strengthen that belief. Speed in action doesn't mean you never pause. It means you control when to pause. There's a difference between thinking deliberately and overthinking endlessly. Deliberate thinking has purpose. Overthinking has fear. When you take a moment to analyze, do it with intention, set a time limit, gather what's necessary, and then move. Once the decision is made, stop revisiting it. The mind loves to replay old choices, wondering if another option would have been better. But that habit steals time and energy from the present. Once you act, commit fully, and focus on execution. You can also train your mind to act fast through visualization. Picture yourself handling tasks quickly and efficiently. Imagine taking immediate action and feeling proud afterward. The brain doesn't always distinguish between imagined and real experiences, so visualizing decisive behavior helps build it in real life. Over time, your brain associates action with satisfaction. That association becomes a natural response when decisions appear. Sometimes overthinking comes from clutter, mental and physical. A cluttered space often creates a cluttered mind. Simplify your environment. Keep your workspace clean, your tasks organized, and your goals visible. When things are clear, decisions become easier. The more organized your life becomes, the faster your brain can focus on what truly matters. Taking fast action also means accepting uncertainty as part of the process. You won't always have all the answers, and that's okay. Clarity doesn't come before action, it comes because of it. You find answers in motion. The more you do, the more you learn. Waiting for perfect clarity is like waiting for a storm to stop before learning how to swim. You don't become confident before acting, you become confident because you act. The greatest freedom comes when you stop being trapped in your own mind. Overthinking turns life into an endless debate, but action turns it into an adventure. You can plan, prepare, and think all you want, but nothing changes until you move. The world doesn't respond to what you imagine, it responds to what you do. If you train your mind to act quickly, opportunities start opening up everywhere. You see chances others miss, because they're still analyzing. You become someone who lives life forward, instead of waiting for the right time that never comes. Acting fast doesn't mean rushing. It means responding with confidence and direction. It's about reducing the gap between intention and execution. The shorter that gap becomes, the more powerful you become. Most regrets in life come from waiting too long, not moving too soon. When you act fast, even if you fail, you gain experience and wisdom. But if you hesitate forever, you gain nothing but regret. To train your mind for decisive action, start small but stay consistent. Each time you act quickly, acknowledge it. Remind yourself that this is who you are, becoming a person who decides, acts, and learns. Build this identity one moment at a time. Over weeks and months, hesitation fades, and confidence becomes your default state. The mind is your greatest tool, but only if it works for you, not against you. Overthinking wastes potential. Quick action builds momentum. Every time you move faster than your doubts, you become stronger. You prove to yourself that hesitation has no place in your path. Success belongs to the doers, not the thinkers. Train your mind to act, and life will start moving with you instead of against you. Chapter 5. Push through laziness by doing what needs to be done now. Laziness doesn't strike all at once. It creeps in quietly, disguised as comfort, distraction, or harmless delay. You tell yourself you'll do it later, that you'll feel more ready in an hour, that you just need a break. But later rarely comes. Each time you give in to that small voice of postponement, you weaken your ability to act. Laziness is not a physical condition, it's a mental habit. It's the mind's way of avoiding discomfort. The only way to defeat it is to stop negotiating with it. You push through it by doing exactly what you said you'd do, exactly when you said you'd do it, especially when you don't feel like it. Laziness wins when you allow feelings to control your actions. The mind says, "I'll start when I feel motivated," but motivation is unreliable. Waiting for motivation is like waiting for perfect weather. You'll lose too many days. The truth is, action comes first, and motivation follows. When you start doing something, even small steps, your brain begins to release energy and focus. The act of doing is what creates momentum. The moment you move, resistance starts to fade. If you want to beat laziness, stop asking how you feel and start focusing on what needs to be done. The first step in overcoming laziness is awareness. Be honest about how much time you waste avoiding the work that matters. Notice the little ways you escape from effort, scrolling through your phone, checking messages, doing easy but meaningless tasks. These are all distractions your brain creates to stay comfortable. Once you see them clearly, you can interrupt the pattern. The next time you catch yourself delaying, take a breath and act. Even if it's just for a minute, begin the task. You'll find that once you start, continuing becomes easier. The hardest part of any action is the first step. Laziness grows stronger in an environment of comfort. When everything around you makes it easy to relax and hard to move, your discipline weakens. That's why it's important to design your space for focus. Keep your work area clean and free of distractions. If your phone pulls your attention, move it out of reach. If your environment feels too relaxed, change it. Stand up, move to a different space, or shift your posture. Physical action influences mental state. When your body is alert, your mind follows. A structured environment builds structured behavior. One of the biggest lies laziness tells you is that rest is the same as recovery. They are not the same. Rest is intentional, it refuels you after effort. Laziness is avoidance, it drains you without giving anything back. When you spend too much time in inactivity, your energy doesn't grow, it declines. The body and mind are designed to stay active. You gain energy by using it, not by hoarding it. The more you move, the more alive you feel. Waiting to act makes you tired, while acting gives you strength. That's why people who work consistently often seem to have endless energy. It's not because they have more, it's because they use what they have wisely. To push through laziness, stop thinking in terms of the whole task and focus only on the next step. Big goals can feel overwhelming, and the mind uses that feeling as an excuse to delay. Break your task into smaller actions and start with the simplest one. Tell yourself, I'll just do 5 minutes. Usually, once you begin, those 5 minutes turn into 30, and before you know it, the task is complete. Starting small eliminates the mental resistance that comes from overthinking. Momentum grows one action at a time, and small actions compound into major results. Another way to overcome laziness is to build a strong why. If your reasons for acting are weak, you'll always give in to comfort. Ask yourself why your work matters. Why does it need to be done? What will happen if you continue to delay? When you attach meaning to your actions, discipline becomes easier. You no longer act out of obligation. You act out of purpose. Purpose gives energy to your actions. It reminds you that the discomfort of effort is temporary, but the reward of consistency lasts much longer. People often mistake laziness for lack of energy, but most of the time, it's lack of clarity. When you don't know what to do next, your brain resists effort because it feels lost. You can fix this by planning your day before it starts. Write down what needs to be done and in what order. That structure removes indecision. When you wake up and already know your priorities, your mind has fewer chances to wander. Every time you remove uncertainty, you remove an excuse. Planning is not complicated, it's simply a way of telling your mind that you're in control. Self-discipline is built in the moments when you act without feeling like it. That is where strength grows. Anyone can work when they feel inspired, but real progress comes from working through resistance. When you choose action over avoidance, even once, you send a message to your subconscious, I can be trusted to follow through. That message is powerful. Over time, your brain learns that discomfort is not a reason to stop. It's a signal to continue. You start to take pride in doing the hard things. Each time you push through laziness, you build a little more self-respect, and that respect fuels further action. A good way to build discipline is to set small daily rules for yourself and follow them without negotiation. For example, decide that every morning you'll start your day with movement, or that you'll begin your most important work and before checking your phone. These small promises train your mind to obey direction instead of impulse. Discipline isn't about being harsh, it's about being consistent. When your mind knows that no excuses truly means no excuses, it stops arguing with you. That silence is what focus feels like. Laziness often wins because people focus too much on how hard the task feels instead of how good it feels to finish. Shift your attention to the outcome. Imagine how much relief and satisfaction you'll feel once it's done. Your brain moves toward what it associates with pleasure. If you connect effort with satisfaction rather than pain, you'll act faster. Every time you finish a task you wanted to avoid, pause for a moment and acknowledge the feeling. That reward teaches your brain that action feels better than avoidance. You can also use physical cues to push through mental resistance. Count down from 5 and start moving before your brain can object. This interrupts hesitation and forces action. It sounds simple, but it works because it shifts control from emotion to intention. The longer you sit and think about what you need to do, the stronger resistance becomes. If you act immediately, you break that cycle before it takes hold. The people who accomplish the most are not always more talented or intelligent. They simply act while others hesitate. They don't wait to feel ready, and they don't let laziness decide their day. They move first, adjust later. That's why they seem unstoppable. They've trained their minds to see effort as normal, not exceptional. Effort isn't something they debate, it's something they expect. When you make action your default response, laziness loses its influence. There will always be moments when you don't want to do something. That's normal. The goal isn't to eliminate those feelings, it's to move forward anyway. Laziness doesn't disappear forever. It shows up every day in new forms. But each time you act despite it, it grows weaker. Every day you give in, it grows stronger. You decide which one you feed. Success doesn't require you to be perfect. It only requires that you do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Laziness steals more dreams than failure ever will. Failure at least comes from trying. Laziness comes from doing nothing. The cost of inaction is invisible at first, but it compounds over time. Days of avoidance become weeks, weeks become months, and eventually years slip away. You look back and realize the only thing standing between you and the life you wanted was the willingness to start. The solution was always simple: do it now. Not later, not when it feels easy, but now. Pushing through laziness isn't about speed, it's about consistency. Even small daily progress creates massive change when you keep showing up. Each time you act now instead of later, you build momentum. Momentum is what turns ordinary effort into lasting success. Once you have it, everything feels lighter. You no longer waste energy arguing with yourself because your actions flow naturally. That's the freedom. Discipline gives you the freedom to move without resistance. When you train yourself to act now, you begin to trust your strength. You stop waiting for the right moment and realize the right moment is always the one in front of you. Every time you choose action, you reclaim power from laziness. You take charge of your time, your focus, and your results. Over time, doing what needs to be done becomes second nature. You stop being a person who talks about change and become someone who lives it. That transformation begins with a single decision to stop waiting and start acting. When you make that choice consistently, laziness no longer controls you. You do. Chapter 6. Stay consistent even when motivation fades and energy runs low. Consistency is what separates temporary effort from lasting achievement. Anyone can be disciplined for a few days when motivation is high and everything feels exciting. But success doesn't belong to the person who starts strong. It belongs to the person who keeps going after the excitement disappears. Staying consistent when your energy is low and your motivation has faded is the real test of character. It's easy to act when you feel good, but it's the actions you take when you don't feel like it that define your progress. The goal is not to rely on motivation, it's to build habits so strong that you act automatically, even in moments of fatigue or doubt. There will be days when your energy feels drained and your mind is heavy. You'll wake up and not want to move, not want to think, not want to try. These moments are natural. Every human being experiences them, but they are also the moments that separate those who succeed from those who stop halfway. The key is to remember that consistency doesn't mean doing everything perfectly every day. It means showing up, in some way, no matter how small. Some days, your best will be 100%. Other days, it might only be 40%. What matters is that you give the best you have that day. That simple act of persistence keeps momentum alive. The biggest mistake people make is assuming motivation is a constant fuel source. It's not. Motivation is a spark, it ignites the fire, but it doesn't keep it burning. Discipline is the wood that sustains it. The people who make progress even in low-energy times are the ones who learn to rely on discipline instead of emotion. They understand that feelings come and go, but commitments remain. When you wake up tired and still follow through on your plan, you strengthen the muscle of self-control. Each time you act without needing inspiration, you make future action easier. Energy is not only physical, it's mental. When your motivation fades, your mind starts offering excuses. You deserve a break, it whispers. You can skip today. This is when you must remind yourself of your purpose. Purpose gives strength when enthusiasm disappears. You don't stay consistent because it feels good. You stay consistent because your goals matter. When your body doesn't want to move, your mind must take the lead. When your mind starts to doubt, your purpose must take over. That's how you stay in motion when everything inside you wants to stop. Consistency also means learning to adjust without quitting. There will be times when your pace slows, but slowing down is not the same as giving up. Maybe your energy isn't the same today, so you reduce intensity, but you don't stop. You adapt instead of abandon. The perfectionist mindset kills consistency because it demands flawless performance. Real discipline accepts imperfection and keeps moving forward anyway. One missed day doesn't ruin your progress, but giving up because of one bad day does. When you fall off track, the goal is not to feel guilty, it's to return to your routine as quickly as possible. A big part of staying consistent is managing your energy wisely. You can't run at full speed every day without rest. Discipline doesn't mean exhaustion, it means balance. If you want to stay consistent long-term, you need recovery as much as effort. Create a routine that allows time for sleep, breaks, and renewal. Rest is not weakness, it's maintenance. When you rest intentionally, you prevent burnout and make it possible to perform steadily over time. Many people quit because they push too hard too fast, then collapse. The consistent person moves strategically, not recklessly. Another powerful way to stay consistent when motivation fades is to focus on systems, not goals. Goals give you direction, but systems keep you moving. For example, instead of saying, "I want to get fit," build a system like, "I will work out for 30 minutes at the same time each day." Systems turn action into habit. When something becomes part of your daily rhythm, it stops feeling like a choice. It becomes who you are. Systems protect you from the ups and downs of motivation because they rely on structure, not emotion. When energy runs low, your mind often exaggerates the effort required. You tell yourself the task is too hard, too long, too much. But the truth is, starting is usually the hardest part. Once you begin, the resistance fades. On days when you don't feel like working, focus on just beginning. Tell yourself, "I'll do 5 minutes." Those 5 minutes often turn into 30. Even if they don't, you've still kept your promise to yourself. That's what matters most. Small effort on bad days protects the momentum you built on good days. You can also strengthen consistency by removing unnecessary decisions. Every choice requires energy, and when motivation is low, decision fatigue makes acting even harder. Reduce friction by planning ahead. Set your clothes out the night before. Prepare your workspace. Schedule your priorities. When your environment supports your goals, you don't waste energy deciding, you just follow through. The fewer steps between intention and action, the easier it becomes to stay consistent. Accountability is another secret to consistency. When you keep your goals private, it's easy to let them slide. But when you make them visible to yourself or someone else, you raise your standard. Track your progress. Use a journal, checklist, or app to see your streak. Seeing how far you've come makes you less willing to break the chain. The human mind hates losing progress, and that psychology can keep you moving. If possible, share your goals with a trusted person who values growth. Knowing someone is watching can push you to stay consistent even on difficult days. When motivation fades, self-talk becomes your greatest weapon. The words you use either strengthen your discipline or weaken it. If you say, "I can't do this today," your mind believes you. But if you say, "I'll do what I can today," you reclaim control. You don't have to lie to yourself, you just have to speak from strength instead of surrender. Replace complaints with commitments. Remind yourself that progress doesn't require perfection, only persistence. The tone of your inner dialogue determines whether you keep moving or stop. Consistency thrives on simplicity. People often overcomplicate their routines with unnecessary steps. The more complex your plan, the easier it is to abandon when energy drops. Simplify. Focus on the essentials. What few actions truly move you forward? Do those repeatedly. Consistency is not about doing everything, it's about doing what matters most over and over again. Simplicity makes repetition easier, and repetition builds mastery. It's also important to understand that your emotions are temporary. A lack of motivation doesn't mean something is wrong, it just means you're human. There will be days of doubt, fatigue, and boredom. But if you base your actions on feelings, your progress will always fluctuate. The disciplined person feels the same emotions, but acts differently. They've learned that emotions are not commands. They acknowledge them but don't obey them. They understand that action is the antidote to stagnation. The act of doing reignites motivation. Consistency becomes powerful when it's tied to identity. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to stay consistent," say, "I am a consistent person." The way you describe yourself shapes how you behave. When you identify as someone who always shows up, skipping becomes harder to justify. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. Build that identity through small wins. Each time you follow through, you confirm that belief. Over time, consistency becomes your natural state, not a temporary effort. Another key to staying consistent is managing expectations. Progress takes longer than most people think. Many quit not because they fail, but because they expected instant results. They work hard for a few weeks, don't see big changes, and assume it's not working. But consistency is quiet at first. Results often come after a long period of unseen effort. You have to trust the process, even when you can't see progress. The one who keeps going eventually surpasses the one who started stronger but stopped early. When energy runs low, gratitude can restore focus. Take a moment to appreciate that you have the chance to work on something meaningful. Gratitude shifts your mindset from, "I have to do this," to, "I get to do this." That small change renews energy. It reminds you that effort is a privilege, not a burden. Consistency becomes easier when it's fueled by appreciation rather than pressure. Staying consistent is not about being perfect, it's about being relentless. You may stumble, slow down, or take breaks, but you never stop moving forward. You measure your life not by how often you felt motivated, but by how often you acted without it. Motivation may spark your journey, but consistency keeps it alive. The person who shows up every day, no matter how they feel, will always outgrow the one who only acts when it's easy. In the end, consistency is a promise you make to yourself. It's proof that you can be trusted with your own dreams. When motivation fades and energy runs low, remember that every small action counts. You don't need to move fast, you just need to keep moving. The days you push through fatigue will matter more than the days you felt unstoppable. Those quiet moments of persistence are where discipline is born and character is built. Stay consistent, even when it's hard, and you'll find that what once felt impossible becomes effortless. Chapter 7. Replace comfort with challenge. Pause and grow stronger every single day. Comfort feels safe, but it slowly drains your strength. It's warm, familiar, and easy to stay in, but it also keeps you small. Growth only happens when you step outside of what feels easy and move into what challenges you. Every time you choose comfort over effort, you tell yourself that safety matters more than progress. And over time, that decision builds a quiet kind of weakness. The mind becomes softer, the will becomes slower, and opportunities pass unnoticed. But when you replace comfort with challenge, you wake something powerful inside you. You start living with intention instead of routine, and every day becomes an opportunity to sharpen your character and strengthen your spirit. The truth is, comfort isn't the problem, staying there too long is. There's nothing wrong with resting or enjoying peace, but when comfort becomes your home instead of your recharge point, you stop evolving. Growth is supposed to be uncomfortable because it requires breaking habits, facing fears, and stretching limits. The body grows through resistance, and the mind grows the same way. You don't build strength from what's easy, you build it from what pushes back. Every time you do something difficult, you teach yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. Challenges reveal your potential. You can read about discipline, watch others succeed, and talk about change. But until you face discomfort directly, you'll never know what you're made of. People often avoid challenges because they fear failure or embarrassment. They think struggle means something is wrong, but in reality, struggle is the process of becoming better. Every person who's achieved something meaningful went through periods of doubt and hardship. What made them different wasn't talent, it was the choice to keep going when things got hard. If you make that same choice every day, you'll begin to see progress in areas you once thought impossible. To replace comfort with challenge, you must first recognize how comfort hides in your life. It's not always obvious. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. Sometimes it looks like distraction. Sometimes it looks like saying, "I'll start tomorrow." Comfort hides behind good intentions. It convinces you that you're planning or preparing when really you're avoiding. You overcome this by being honest with yourself about when you're avoiding difficulty. Awareness is the first step. Once you catch yourself retreating to comfort, you can make the conscious choice to act instead. Start small. You don't need to take massive risks immediately. You can train your tolerance for discomfort gradually. Wake up earlier than usual. Finish a workout when your body wants to stop. Speak up in a situation where you normally stay silent. Do the thing that makes your heart race a little. These small acts build resilience. The goal isn't to chase pain, it's to practice courage. Each time you face something uncomfortable and survive, your confidence grows. Soon, things that once felt difficult become your new normal. That's how growth works. What feels heavy today becomes easy tomorrow if you keep lifting it. One of the strongest ways to grow is to deliberately seek challenges that make you better. Don't wait for difficulties to find, you go looking for them. Take on responsibilities that stretch your skills. Learn something new that feels intimidating. Put yourself in environments where you're not the most skilled person in the room. Being challenged doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're evolving. Growth feels awkward because it forces you to abandon what's familiar, but that discomfort is the sign that you're on the right path. Most people avoid challenge because they associate it with failure. They believe that if something feels hard, they must not be good at it. But difficulty doesn't mean defeat, it means development. The first time you try something new, you will likely struggle. That's normal. Struggle is the evidence that you're growing beyond your comfort zone. Every skill, every achievement, every success you see started with someone being bad at it. The people who improve are those who keep practicing despite discomfort. They don't take mistakes personally, they take them as lessons. The moment you stop seeing failure as something to fear and start seeing it as a necessary teacher, challenge becomes something you crave, not avoid. Replacing comfort with challenge also means changing your mindset toward effort. Society often glorifies ease. We're told that the goal is to make life as comfortable and convenient as possible. But that mindset weakens resilience. Easy doesn't build endurance. Growth comes from effort, repetition, and persistence. The people who achieve lasting success are the ones who've trained themselves to find satisfaction in the process, not just the outcome. When you begin to take pride in doing hard things, you separate yourself from the majority. You stop needing constant comfort to feel fulfilled, and you start drawing fulfillment from discipline itself. There's a simple truth. The comfort zone never stays the same size. It either expands or shrinks depending on your actions. Every day you face discomfort, your comfort zone grows. You become more capable, confident, and prepared for life's challenges. But every day you avoid discomfort, your comfort zone shrinks. You become more cautious, dependent, and fragile. It's a slow change, almost invisible at first, but it shapes your entire future. Choosing challenge keeps you expanding, and expansion is what keeps life exciting and meaningful. When you start living this way, something shifts inside you. You stop running from fear and start running toward it. You begin to see resistance as a signal of importance. If something scares you, it probably matters. If something feels uncomfortable, it's likely where your next level of growth waits. This doesn't mean seeking constant struggle. It means choosing purposeful challenges that build your strength and character. You'll still have moments of doubt, but they won't stop you anymore because you'll know they're part of the process. You also need to surround yourself with people who push you to grow. Comfort is contagious, but so is drive. If you spend time with those who settle for easy, you'll slowly adopt their habits. But if you spend time with people who challenge themselves, their energy will pull you higher. You'll begin to mirror their standards. Growth loves company. It thrives in environments where effort and ambition are normal. Choose friends, mentors, or peers who make you uncomfortable in the best way, who remind you of what you're capable of, and who challenge you to rise above excuses. Growth through challenge also strengthens your mind for real life. Life will test you whether you choose it or not. Unexpected problems, losses, and difficulties will appear. If you've trained yourself to handle discomfort, you'll face those moments with composure. You won't panic because challenge will feel familiar. You'll approach problems calmly, knowing that you've built the discipline to endure. But if you've spent your life avoiding discomfort, even small problems will feel unbearable. The way you handle voluntary challenge prepares you for the involuntary ones life throws at you. You grow stronger by pushing yourself daily in ways that require effort and focus. Challenge your body with movement. Challenge your mind with learning. Challenge your habits with discipline. Each act compounds into a more capable version of yourself. Over time, your tolerance for difficulty increases, and what once drained you becomes energizing. You begin to crave the feeling of progress more than the comfort of ease. That's when you know you've transformed, when challenge no longer intimidates you but inspires you. Replacing comfort with challenge is not about rejecting pleasure or peace, it's about earning them. Rest feels meaningful only after effort. Satisfaction feels deeper after struggle. The joy of achieving something you fought for lasts longer than any comfort you find by avoiding effort. Challenge gives life texture and meaning. Without it, days blur together and growth stops. You begin to live the same year repeatedly instead of becoming someone new each year. To grow stronger every day, create small intentional challenges. Wake up earlier than necessary. Learn one difficult skill. Do one thing that scares you. Practice discipline in small daily choices. Eat better, stay focused, and follow through on what you promise yourself. Each act of discipline is a vote for your future self. Every time you resist the easy path, you build inner power. The world respects those who do what most people won't, and that respect starts from within. Strength doesn't come from avoiding struggle, it comes from facing it. The people who grow the most aren't the ones who avoid pain, they're the ones who learn from it. Every challenge you overcome becomes a reminder that you can handle more. It doesn't matter how small the challenge is. What matters is that you keep pushing your limits. Growth is not a one-time event, it's a daily practice. Eventually, the discomfort that once scared you becomes the very thing you seek. You begin to appreciate how challenge shapes you, how it makes you humble, disciplined, and resilient. You stop chasing an easy life and start building a strong one. Comfort loses its hold on you because you've replaced the desire to feel good with the desire to become great. That's how strength is born, not in comfort, but in courage. Every day you face something hard, you expand your capacity to live fully, love deeply, and achieve boldly. And in time, you realize that the challenge you once feared was never your enemy, it was your path to becoming who you were meant to be. Chapter 8. Turn your routine into a system that guarantees progress. Progress doesn't come from bursts of effort or moments of inspiration. It comes from what you do repeatedly, day after day. The people who move forward in life are not necessarily the most motivated, they are the most consistent. They've learned how to turn their routines into systems that work automatically, even when their energy or emotions fluctuate. A routine is just a series of actions, but a system is what connects those actions to a clear outcome. When your life runs on a system built around purpose and structure, progress becomes predictable. You no longer depend on willpower or mood. You depend on a process that moves you forward, no matter how you feel. Most people drift through their days without realizing how much power lies in structure. They wake up, react to the day, handle whatever comes their way, and end up wondering why. They never get closer to their goals. Without a system, every day becomes a random event. Some days you're productive, some days you're not, and your results rise and fall like waves. But when you design a system, a repeatable rhythm that aligns your time, focus, and energy with your goals, you create stability. Success stops being a guess. You start to grow steadily, not accidentally. The first step to turning your routine into a system is clarity. You have to know what you're building toward. A routine with no direction is just activity. A system, on the other hand, exists to produce a specific result. Define what progress means for you. Maybe it's improving your health, building a business, mastering a skill, or maintaining balance in your life. Once you know what your target is, you can create daily habits that lead you there. Without a target, every action loses meaning. With a target, even small actions become powerful because they add up towards something intentional. Once you have clarity, start by examining your current routine honestly. Track how you spend your time for a few days. You'll likely find that much of your time is scattered between distractions, unnecessary decisions, and habits that don't serve your long-term goals. Most people have routines by default, they've just never designed them consciously. Your job is to replace the random with the deliberate. Ask yourself what parts of your day move you closer to your goals and which ones hold you back. Then start redesigning one piece at a time. A good system doesn't rely on willpower, it relies on design. Willpower is limited, it fades as the day goes on. If your success depends on constantly fighting temptation or forcing motivation, you'll eventually burn out. Instead, structure your environment so that the right actions happen naturally. If you want to read more, keep books within reach. If you want to eat healthy, stock your kitchen with real food. If you want to work deeply, remove distractions before you begin. Your system should make good behavior easy and bad behavior inconvenient. When you align your surroundings with your intentions, progress becomes effortless. Another part of building a system is automation. Every decision you make costs mental energy. The more you automate, the more focus you preserve for what truly matters. Create fixed times for specific activities so you don't have to decide every day when to do them. For example, set the same time for exercise, work, reflection, and rest. Your brain adapts quickly to patterns, and once something becomes routine, it takes less effort to maintain. Over time, your habits become automatic behaviors that run quietly in the background while you focus on higher goals. To make your system effective, focus on process, not outcome. Goals are important, they give direction, but systems create results. If you focus too much on the end result, you might lose motivation when progress feels slow. But when you focus on your system, the small daily actions, you stay grounded in what you can control. The outcome will take care of itself. For example, instead of obsessing over losing weight, focus on following your meal plan and staying active each day. Instead of worrying about finishing a project, focus on completing your daily work sessions. Systems keep your attention on action, which builds momentum even on tough days. One common reason people struggle with consistency is that they rely on emotion to decide when to act. When you have a strong system, emotions become less relevant. You no longer ask yourself, Do I feel like doing this today? Because your system answers for you. You do it because it's part of your structure, not because you're inspired. This might sound rigid, but it's actually freeing. When your routine is designed to move you forward, it removes decision fatigue and mental clutter. You stop wasting time debating and start spending time doing. Your system should also include review and reflection. Without evaluation, even the best system will eventually fail. Every week, take a few minutes to ask yourself what's working and what isn't. Look for inefficiencies or wasted effort. Adjust what needs improvement, but keep the core habits steady. Reflection helps you evolve without losing rhythm. A system is not a rigid prison, it's a living structure that grows with you. Over time, your needs and goals will change, and your system should adapt accordingly. Accountability strengthens your system. When you measure your actions, you reinforce them. Keep a daily tracker, checklist, or journal where you record your progress. Seeing evidence of consistency creates motivation to continue. It's human nature to want to maintain streaks. Each checkmark or completed task becomes a small victory, and those victories accumulate into powerful momentum. Accountability doesn't have to be public, it just needs to be visible to you. Routines fail when they lack purpose, but systems fail when they lack flexibility. You can't plan every moment of your life, and sometimes unexpected things will happen. The key is to bend without breaking. If your schedule changes, find a way to adjust while staying true to your priorities. Maybe your workout is shorter, or your study session moves to another time, but you still do something. That adaptability keeps your system alive, even in unpredictable conditions. Discipline doesn't mean rigidity, it means persistence through change. The greatest benefit of turning your routine into a system is that it builds self-trust. Every time you follow your process, you prove to yourself that you can rely on your own consistency. That trust becomes the foundation of confidence. You stop doubting whether you'll succeed because you know your system guarantees progress. You may not move fast every day, but you'll always move forward. The results compound quietly, and one day you'll look back and realize how much you've achieved simply by sticking to your process. Your system should include balance between effort and recovery. Continuous work without rest leads to burnout, but rest without structure leads to laziness. Build recovery into your system intentionally. Schedule breaks, downtime, and reflection just like you schedule work. This keeps your energy steady and your focus sharp. People who last the longest in any pursuit are those who understand this balance. They don't push mindlessly, they progress strategically. Systems also free your mind from unnecessary stress. When you know what to do and when to do it, you eliminate uncertainty. Each task has its place, and you no longer feel overwhelmed by everything that needs to be done. The system holds the plan, not your memory. This mental clarity is what allows high performers to think creatively and act efficiently. They don't waste energy managing chaos, they use it to build progress. Building a system doesn't happen overnight. It takes patience and experimentation. You'll make adjustments, test routines, and refine your approach. But once you find what works, it becomes the foundation of lasting success. The key is to stay consistent long enough for your habits to take root. Systems grow stronger with repetition, and repetition creates identity. When you live by a process that supports your goals, you stop chasing progress, you live in it. The power of a good system is that it makes success inevitable. You no longer rely on luck, emotion, or constant inspiration. You've built a process that produces results through steady action. It doesn't matter whether you feel inspired or exhausted, your system carries you. Over time, that structure becomes a reflection of who you are. Someone who values growth, discipline, and control over their time and effort. When you turn your routine into a system, you create a quiet form of power. You stop starting over. You stop drifting. You stop wasting time trying to get back on track because you never leave it. Your system becomes your guide, and your habits become your foundation. Each day adds to the next, building a life that moves forward with purpose. And when you live this way, progress is no longer uncertain, it's guaranteed. Chapter 9. Face your fears with action and build unshakable confidence. Fear is a natural part of being human. It's not a sign of weakness or failure, it's a signal. It tells you that something important lies on the other side of that emotion. The problem isn't fear itself, it's what you do when it appears. Most people retreat. They delay, avoid, or rationalize their way out of action, thinking they're protecting themselves from pain. But in truth, they're protecting themselves from growth. Fear shrinks when you face it and expands when you avoid it. The longer you wait, the stronger it becomes. The only way to weaken fear is through movement, direct, decisive, deliberate action. Every great achievement begins with someone acting while afraid. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep moving despite it. The people you admire aren't fearless. They've simply learned not to let fear control their behavior. They understand that hesitation feeds fear, while action starves it. When you take the first step toward something that scares you, you send a powerful message to your mind: I'm in charge. And that small moment of control builds confidence, which grows stronger each time you repeat the process. Confidence doesn't come from pep talks or positive thinking. It comes from evidence that you can handle life. Every time you act in the face of fear, you gather proof of your own strength. You don't have to wait until you feel ready, because readiness rarely comes before action. The feeling of readiness appears after you've already started. When you do the thing that you were afraid of and realize you survived, your mind updates its limits. The fear loses power because you've proven that it was smaller than you imagined. Most fears exist only in the imagination. The mind has a way of exaggerating what might happen. You picture rejection, embarrassment, failure, or pain, but rarely do those outcomes play out as dramatically as you expect. Fear is a story, one that can be rewritten the moment you act. When you face it head-on, you realize that it was never as big as it seemed. The anticipation of fear is always worse than the experience of it. Once you start moving, your focus shifts from "what if I fail" to "what can I do next?" Action transforms fear into focus. Facing fear begins with honesty. You have to name what you're afraid of. Vague fear has power because it's undefined. When you don't specify it, it feels infinite. But when you clearly identify what scares you, it becomes something you can confront. Maybe you fear failure, judgment, loss, or change. Write it down. Then ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I face this? Most of the time, you'll see that the worst-case scenario is not as devastating as your mind suggests. Once you see fear for what it really is, it loses the mystery that makes it overwhelming. The next step is to act quickly before fear has time to talk you out of it. The mind is clever. It will always find reasons to delay. It will tell you that now isn't the right time, that you need more information, or that someone else should go first. But the more time you give those thoughts, the more powerful they become. Momentum is your greatest weapon. When fear rises, move before your mind starts building excuses. Even a small action, a phone call, a step forward, a single decision can break the cycle of hesitation. Once you're in motion, fear has less room to grow. Confidence is built like a muscle. It strengthens through repetition. You don't become confident overnight. You earn it through small victories. Start by facing minor fears daily. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Try something new in front of others. Admit when you don't know something. Each of these moments trains your brain to see fear as a challenge, not a threat. Over time, this habit rewires your response. You stop freezing in the face of fear and start responding with action automatically. That's when confidence becomes unshakable, not because you no longer feel fear, but because you've proven you can handle it. It's also important to change your relationship with failure. Many fears are rooted in the idea that failing means something is wrong with you. But failure is part of learning. It's not personal. Every mistake provides information that guides you forward. When you remove shame from failure, you remove fear's strongest weapon. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What will I learn if I do?" That shift turns fear into curiosity and makes action easier. The more you fail and recover, the less intimidating failure becomes. It starts to feel like a natural part of growth rather than something to avoid. Action is not just a response to fear, it's the cure for it. The mind can't focus on fear and movement at the same time. When you act, your attention moves to the task instead of the worry. This is why people often feel less afraid once they're already doing something. The energy that once fueled anxiety gets redirected toward progress. The fastest way to reduce fear is to stop thinking and start moving. You'll discover that the emotion you thought would stop you actually fades in the process of doing. Confidence grows most in moments of uncertainty. When you act without guarantees, you learn that you can rely on yourself even when you don't have all the answers. That self-trust is the foundation of true confidence. It's not about knowing everything, it's about knowing. You'll figure it out. Every time you face something uncertain and keep moving, you strengthen that trust. Soon, fear no longer feels like a signal to stop. It feels like a signal that you're expanding your limits. You can train yourself to use fear as fuel. When something scares you, instead of backing away, lean into it. Say to yourself, "This is where I grow." Fear often points directly toward the things that will change your life the most. It's the mind's way of signaling significance. The situations that make you nervous, public speaking, new challenges, difficult conversations, are often the exact ones that build character and opportunity. If you start viewing fear as a guide rather than a warning, you'll stop avoiding it and start using it. Facing fear also means letting go of control. Much of what we fear is losing control over outcomes. We want certainty before taking risks, but certainty is an illusion. Life will always be unpredictable. The goal isn't control everything, it's to control yourself in the face of uncertainty. That's what real strength is, remaining calm and decisive even when the future is unclear. When you develop that ability, fear loses its power to paralyze you. One of the most effective ways to build confidence through action is preparation. Fear often grows from feeling unprepared. The more you practice and refine your skills, the less room fear has to dominate your mind. Preparation doesn't eliminate fear completely, but it transforms it into focus. You no longer fear the unknown because you've equipped yourself to handle what's likely to come. When you prepare consistently, you meet fear with readiness instead of panic. You'll never completely eliminate fear, and you shouldn't want to. A little fear keeps you sharp. It keeps you alert, humble, and aware. The goal is not to destroy fear, but to master it. When you face it repeatedly, you learn how to move with it instead of against it. You become grounded under pressure. Your heart might race, your hands might shake, but you act anyway. That's real courage, staying steady while fear tries to shake you. Confidence built on comfort is fragile. It disappears when conditions change. Confidence built through facing fear, however, is unbreakable. It's earned through experience and discipline. It doesn't depend on praise or approval because it's rooted in proof you've seen what you can overcome. That kind of confidence doesn't fade. It grows deeper with each challenge. Every time you face something that scares you, remind yourself that fear is temporary, but regret is permanent. You can feel the discomfort of courage now, or the pain of inaction later. One lasts a moment, the other can last a lifetime. The choice is always yours. If you start treating fear as your ally, as a sign that something meaningful is ahead, you'll stop running from it and start walking toward it. Each time you do, you'll feel yourself becoming stronger, calmer, and more certain. The path to confidence isn't built in your mind. It's built through your actions. You grow by doing, by confronting, by continuing. Fear may whisper, but it no longer commands. You act, and through action, you become unstoppable. Chapter 10. Live with purpose and refuse to waste another day. There comes a point when you realize that time is the most valuable thing you have. You can recover from mistakes, rebuild what's broken, and start again after failure, but you can never reclaim a single day once it's gone. Every sunrise is a new chance to live with intention, to direct your life instead of drifting through it. Yet so many people live as if time were endless, spending their days reacting, complaining, or waiting for the right moment. That moment never comes. The only moment that matters is the one you have right now. Living with purpose means understanding that each day is a gift and refusing to waste it on things that don't move you closer to who you want to become. Purpose gives meaning to effort. Without it, even hard work feels empty. You can stay busy all day and still feel unfulfilled if your actions don't align with something deeper. Purpose doesn't necessarily mean a grand mission or world-changing goal. It can be simple and personal, becoming a better parent, growing stronger in your discipline, learning, creating, helping others, or mastering your craft. The point is to wake up with a reason. When you know why you're doing something, even the smallest actions carry significance. You no longer drift, you drive. Most people aren't lacking time, they're lacking direction. They fill their days with distractions that feel urgent but mean nothing. The mind craves stimulation, and in today's world, it's easier than ever to waste time without noticing. Endless scrolling, pointless arguments, unnecessary tasks, all of it gives the illusion of activity but leaves you feeling empty. Living with purpose requires you to take back control of your attention. You must decide what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Every time you say yes to something trivial, you're saying no to something meaningful. Focus is how you honor your purpose. Clarity is the foundation of purpose. You can't live with direction if you don't know what matters most to you. Take time to reflect. Ask yourself who you want to become and what you want your life to represent. Imagine you could look back 10 years from now. What would make you proud? What would you regret not doing? These questions cut through the noise and reveal your priorities. When you define your purpose clearly, decisions become simpler. You stop asking, "Should I do this?" and start asking, "Does this serve my purpose?" The difference is everything. Living with purpose means being intentional about how you spend your time. You have to recognize that your hours are currency, and once spent, they're gone forever. Every morning you wake up, you receive 24 hours to invest. How you use them determines your future. Some people spend theirs on excuses and comfort. Others spend theirs on growth, service, and improvement. The difference between success and regret often comes down to how people use their ordinary days. Greatness doesn't happen in grand moments. It's built quietly through purposeful choices repeated over time. To live with purpose, you must stop waiting for motivation and start relying on commitment. Motivation is fleeting. It comes when things feel exciting and disappears when things get hard. Purpose, however, keeps you steady. When you act from purpose, you no longer need to be pushed. You're pulled by something greater. Even on days when you're tired or discouraged, you move forward because the goal matters to you. You're not chasing instant results, you're honoring a long-term mission. That's what separates people who create meaningful lives from those who merely exist. Living with purpose doesn't mean every day will be perfect. There will be setbacks, disappointments, and failures. But when you have a strong sense of purpose, you interpret those challenges differently. You don't see them as signs to quit. You see them as tests. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to prove your commitment. When you live with purpose, even pain becomes productive. You can endure discomfort because it's attached to meaning. You're not just going through life, you're growing through it. To stop wasting your days, you must learn to be present. Many people waste time not because they're lazy, but because they're distracted by the past or anxious about the future. They spend hours replaying what went wrong or worrying about what might happen. Meanwhile, the present moment slips away. Purpose exists only in the present. The only place you can act, change, or create is right now. Being present doesn't mean ignoring the future. It means using this moment wisely so that your future improves naturally. When you give your full attention to what's in front of you, you make every second count. You can strengthen your purpose by connecting your actions to values. Ask yourself, what principles matter most to you? Honesty, growth, kindness, resilience, contribution, and align your behavior with them. When your actions reflect your values, you feel grounded and confident. You don't have to pretend or chase approval because you're living authentically. People who live without values drift between impulses, but those guided by values move with clarity. Every decision becomes simpler when it's guided by what you stand for. Living with purpose also means setting boundaries. If you don't protect your time, others will waste it for you. Say no to things that pull you away from what matters. You don't owe your energy to every request or distraction that appears. Saying no isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's a way of protecting your purpose from being diluted by trivial obligations. Each time you decline something meaningless, you create space for something meaningful. Time is limited, and purpose requires room to grow. Gratitude deepens purpose. When you recognize how rare and precious your time is, you stop taking your days for granted. You start seeing even ordinary moments as opportunities. Gratitude transforms your mindset from "I have to do this" to "I get to do this." It shifts you from complaint to appreciation, from procrastination to action. When you live with gratitude, you find purpose in the smallest acts, helping someone, improving yourself, creating something useful, or simply being fully present in your day. Many people believe they'll find purpose later in life, after certain conditions are met, after they earn more, achieve more, or feel more ready. But purpose doesn't wait for perfect timing. It grows from what you do right now. You don't find purpose by thinking, you create it by acting. Start where you are, with what you have. Do something meaningful today, even if it's small. Purpose is built through consistent effort, not sudden revelation. Living with purpose also means defining success for yourself. Society tries to convince you that success is about wealth, recognition, or status, but those are external measures. Real success is living in alignment with your values and goals. It's going to bed knowing you used your day well. It's becoming someone you respect. When you stop comparing your journey to others and start focusing on your own path, you find peace and power in your progress. If you want to stop wasting time, remove the illusion that you'll always have more of it. Life moves quickly. The days you waste now are the same days you'll wish you had back later. The harsh truth is that someday you'll look back and realize how many moments you traded for comfort, distraction, or fear. But that realization doesn't have to come too late. You can choose today to live differently, to live intentionally. You can decide that your time deserves purpose, not aimless repetition. Living with purpose gives life weight. It gives meaning to your struggles and direction to your actions. You begin to see that everything you do, no matter how small, can serve a greater goal. Even the simple act of showing up on time, keeping your word, or doing your work well, becomes part of something bigger. Purpose turns ordinary effort into progress. Every morning you wake up, ask yourself a simple question. What will I do today that matters? It doesn't have to be something grand. It could be taking care of your health, improving your skills, or helping someone else. The point is to live deliberately, not passively. Each day lived with purpose strengthens the foundation of your life. When you start living this way, something changes inside you. You stop feeling like time is slipping through your fingers because you're using it intentionally. You stop searching for meaning because you're creating it. Life no longer feels like something happening to you, it becomes something you're actively shaping. Purpose gives you direction when things get hard and clarity when everything feels uncertain. It keeps you grounded, focused, and fulfilled. Refuse to waste another day waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, or the perfect plan. That moment is now. This day is your opportunity to make progress, to become better, to do something meaningful. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for ideal conditions. You don't need more time, you just need to decide to use the time you already have. Every day you live with purpose is a day well spent, and when you start stacking those days together, your life becomes something powerful, focused, and deeply rewarding. Each sunrise is a reminder that you still have the chance to make this day count. Don't waste it. Live it fully, intentionally, and with unwavering purpose.